Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. We are live. This is Anna Sergunina and
Jim Ludwig.
welcome to our Live with Main Street show. Happy 2020, everyone. We're excited to be here, kind of first of the year, really. Jim and I wanted to chat about and interesting topics that come up every year. And I think we have a little bit of a insight as to how our clients get a handle on their savings and what are they really doing and what's working successfully on how they can manage their spending, and possibly throw a word that nobody likes to hear, but budgeting. So let's start with not so fun topic, Jim, first. What do we got to say about budgeting, spending, expenses, income?
Well, Anna, nobody does like budgeting, including me. So 17 years ago, Cheryl Garrett told me, just change the name and call it a spending plan.
Yeah.
But it is a budget. Let's not mince words. But for new clients, we always say spending plan because we want to slip it in easier to think about where our money is going. And can we change it? Can we improve on it? Can we find savings someplace? So that's what it's all about. And if you know where your money is going, then you can change. If you don't know where it's going, it's very difficult to make any corrections and then track if it's successful or not.
Agree. I'm in the same category, same boat with you. I don't really like the budgeting aspect, but I think it's important to know where things are. So how do we do this? I mean, there's a million ways, I think, to approach this, right? There's not a one-size-fits-all strategy.
Well, the technology is improving over the years. So the Excel spreadsheets, although they're used for some people, more and more are going online and with apps because more and more people have smartphones.
Yes.
And it's easy to do things in real time, whether it's capture receipts or it's put in information or link things like your Uber ride links right into your expenses. So there are things that are happening in that application world to try to make it easier to induce people to do it.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Yesterday, Wall Street Journal had a really interesting article talking about this subject, and we'll share a link with you right after our show or in the comments. That really looked at this concept from a softer side of things, not the rigid spending, setting up a spreadsheet, or like Jim talked about, maybe possibly using more technology, because all of us are kind of fall somewhere in between. And so looking at this from a softer side of things, more about behavior, right, and feelings and emotions, really kind of helps you understand what tools will work for you the best, right? Maybe your idea before was, okay, I've got to enter my numbers into a spreadsheet, but in reality, that's not how your brain, right, would process the numbers, so how you would be more likely to stick to that plan. So I really, as long as we've been doing financial planning, and personally, as long as I've been tracking my spending, I've really never thought about it that way. I always thought there was this way to do it, and you just had to work through it. So no, my friends, you do have to work through it, but you don't have to force it. So there's that option there. Now, Jim, I think you wanted to share it with us, a spreadsheet that you developed for clients who actually have interest in tracking their expenses more hands-on.
Yes, so I'm gonna share that now. This is one of our clients just contacted me a few days ago and said, this year I really want to get a handle on where our money is going. So this spreadsheet that I'm showing now, we use it a lot for our withdrawal plans, and we have monthly income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, net cash flow, and we had used that to link to our where's the money going to come from to support these expenses. But I'm using it for a different reason now, to give people an opportunity. And by the way, if they email you or me or Cassie and ask for the cash flow budget for clients sample 12/31/19, which is when I did it, New Year's Eve. Why not?
Yeah, good timing, Jim.
so I built the spreadsheet, and so, for example here, and I'll make it bigger for our viewers so they can see. I put down, there's their, in this case it was rent, $2,400 a month. And that $2,400 a month comes down here and is being added up in this column under mortgage or rent, and it's now 3 months, $7,200. So you can kind of track not only monthly expenses, but it's building the annualized expenses. And then when it gets time to start for 2021, you're already set to go. And I've even built the spreadsheet so it can track 2 years for those clients that wanted that. There's one other spreadsheet I'll show you. I've used this a long time because one of our clients in Pennsylvania allowed me to pay this forward to other people. And he designed all of the formulas. And so whether you do things weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, you're able to put it together and see where the money is going. And so this has worked well for a lot of people. So these are basic tools for people who are really not comfortable of doing things online. I'll stop sharing now. Doing things online, and they still want to get a handle on it. So we have 2 tools. One's a little more sophisticated than the other one, but people can keep track and then recognize how much disposable income they have or discretionary income they have, or they need to create some. What do you attack first? The bigger number.
I like it. I like it. But that's me. I could do well with spreadsheets, but sometimes I don't want to look at those. So technology, how about a combination, right? For really getting a good grip on that. Now I have been thinking about something, and so this year, unlike most years, I committed not to set any New Year's resolutions, or not in a formal fashion, right? Everybody says, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then it kind of dies out. So I personally just thought about it, not just in the form, okay, January 1 is when things happen, but this is going to be a way of life. And one of the big challenges that everybody faces, right, alongside with having proper budgeting tools in place, is reaching their savings goals, okay? So, there was another good article actually in the Wall Street Journal in the last few days, but this is kind of the top of the mind conversation for all of us right now. And so I wanted to share a couple of tips that I found practical for me personally, and I think a lot of our clients will also like to implement. So the softer side of setting goals, right? Because the number one, or the first step that has helped a lot of our clients is to really get clear about what the goals are. And this is where the magic happens for clients, is when they really say, okay, I want to retire by the time I'm, in my 50s, saying something like, okay, I want to retire when I'm 55 and I want to have 500,000 saved up, $1 million, whatever your number. So becoming clear on what that number is, right? And it's almost like working it backwards. So in the way for you to reach a goal like that, or whatever other goals you have, you can work it with all kinds of things. You've got to kind of have a starting point. So beginning of the year tends to be the most exciting for everybody, right? The holidays are over and we want to do things the right way. Now, something else really cool was pointed out to me, that maybe perhaps the beginning of the year is just too much hype. How about you start anytime, or if you wanted to have a significant date, start on your birthday. So my birthday happened to be in February, so still kind of at the beginning of the year. Jim's birthday is in the middle of the year, but it doesn't matter, right? So the point is, give yourself some kind of starting point, right? Now, I talked about setting the goals to be more specific. And so if you're saving more, so goals have to be clear and specific, not just in dates, but the actual dollar amounts. And you work it backwards, then your savings goals become more specific. Now, Jim talked about a particular goal that I hope he wants, he feels comfortable sharing with everybody, but he said, I only have one goal this year, Anna. So what is it, Jim?
It's save $5,000 a month.
All right, so there you go, right? He is really clear about what he wants and he knows his number. So that's what you should be thinking about. Not to say, hey, I'm going to save more in 2020. This is a new decade and I'm going for it. Really specific. Now, something else, because a lot of what's going on and a lot of what helps our clients achieve things that they want to achieve has to do with our behavior, right? So there's actual numbers crunching and things like that, but there's a lot more. It's probably 80% behavior and habits and things that we do on a daily basis. So one tip I picked up from this article in Wall Street Journal is to set up what's called if-then plans. So I'll give you an example. If-then plan. So for example, if you like to go to Starbucks, I'm going to use just a simple example, but if you like to go to Starbucks, right, and that's the thing that you want to cut back on or eliminate out of your life because that will allow you to save extra money. You set up a plan like this. If it's a weekday, then I'll bring coffee from home, and on Saturday and Sunday, I'll go to Starbucks. Something like that. So give yourself rules that you can go by, but then give yourself a reward, right? So it's not about completely eliminating something because it's not going to work. It's just like there's possibly no way that it's going to work for a long time. Now, we're not talking about a 1-month strategy, right? We're talking about something that you can continue doing beyond 2020. So I thought that was cool because a lot of us can relate, because some people talk about the fact that you can't save a whole lot of money by not, by bringing your own coffee. You can, but it's a mental shift that I'm talking about here. And then the other thing that I really like, I'm going to actually do this myself this year, and it's in the category of rewarding. So you know how you say, okay, I'm going to save 20% of my income, or Jim has a specific number, he's going to save 5,000. You've got to give yourself a splurge category, okay? Because it's not always about save. So what is that category going to be? Identify that number, because then it becomes like a game, a fun game that you can actually play, right? And then one last tip. I hope a lot of you are familiar with the concept called high intensity training. So this is when you do short periods of exercises and you do them at the very high intensity, right? So you can do a lot of sit-ups, push-ups, jumps, or whatever, like in a short period of time. What if we practice something like this concept with our savings? What if you said for the first month of the year or for the first quarter, I'd probably suggest starting with just monthly. But for the next month, I'm going to save as much money as possible. Now, does that mean you're going to cut back on a lot of things? Possibly, but what about looking into upside and saying, I'm going to try to earn more money, right? And look for opportunities. So hit strategy for your savings for 1 month. So those are my tips and thoughts around how you can actually really hit your goals for savings in 2020. Let us know if you have questions. We're happy to share spreadsheets that Jim shared, and we'll also post links in the comments below for the articles that we mentioned. And yes, Happy New Year again, everyone. Let us know what we can do for you in 2020. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.